Be coming up.
We can probably go ahead and start since we're
Oh, I
starting
know,
with
I
the
know.
vacation rentals.
Are you gonna, well, we may not be, still doing that. Are you, so they're gonna keep trying to
Yeah,
get it to
so
work?
we've got this going right now and it's picking up the board.
Okay. Well, we gotta wait till Sheila's back. So we're still in recess, I guess. You wanna stop that?
Oh, I'm happy to stop. It says it's got a right hand back there.
Oh, I
It's not.
got, Brian?
Yes, sir.
I guess I could ask that question because it wasn't a BOA business, it was admin type stuff. I was under the impression for a long time that we, by being able to do that, now, of course, the tape recording over time goes bad, the tape
Not digital.
oxidizes, but a digital copy would not.
You know, I
Are
don't,
you ready?
we'll talk about that.
Okay.
after, Yeah.
Okay.
Let me, sorry, Brian.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Go ahead.
We can save it in ordinance.
We're back in session, folks. We apologize. They were just here yesterday, worked on a recording system. Everything was perfect. It never fails. So today it's not working. We're going to go to a computer here with, that have microphones here, and then as each one speaks, we'll have a cell phone there on the table to go back to the old days. We use a cell phone on the table. So we were just getting ready for the approval of the agenda, and I do have an addition that I'd like to put into the agenda as 3A, and that the title for that will be approval of a proposed order. The proposed order deals with case number ZA-201-6001, and that is the case that we heard last month in regards to the lodge on Lake Lure. So I'd like to add that as 3A. So we need a motion on that, or just? We need a motion on that, for that?
Well, when you get ready to approve the agenda.
Okay, I'm ready to approve the agenda.
How about under 5, new business, adding liaison report
Okay,
and just other business?
and other business, all right? So that's also an addition under, it's 5A.
Right.
Sheila, are we
Go ahead.
with VR?
So you're going to 3A now?
No, do you want me to go on with the VRBO so you can,
No.
VROP, so you can have time to finish what you're working on, or is that?
No, I was gonna just hand out some pencils.
Okay, thank you.
So you ready to approve the agenda now?
Just hold on.
Oh, got it.
I'm ready.
Do we have the corrections that we need on that now, or the order thing, or are we still?
Yes, it is ready. I'm
That
sorry.
was my question.
I'm sorry,
That's
yes.
okay. Okay, have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Weber,
Second.
second by Mr. Owenby. So, we'll deal with 3A, at this point.
Call for the vote.
I'm sorry, call for the, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed, no. As I stated in the explaining why we're adding 3A, we have been asked to consider an order that has been, that we have to consider and act on as the Board of Adjustments. And it's in direct relation to the appeal that's being made from the decision, the case that we had last month. So I apologize to you if I'm not, and we're not exactly 100% prepared like we should be, because this didn't start until about 10:15 this morning for us to get all this together. So that is the reason that we have Brian Goulden, our attorney that was with us last month, representing us in that hearing. So that's the reason for Brian to be here. It just worked out where his schedule was such a day that he was able to get away and able to be here. I'm going to let him just make a comment or two about this but before we get started, and then we'll give everybody time to look at this and read this. Brian, why don't you go ahead?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. After, Mr. Chairman, we'll call for approval of the minutes, and then we'll go on to this proposed order. It would be my suggestion that for the approval of the minutes, everybody on the board vote on that, notwithstanding the fact that some of the members were not on the board on that day, which was January 26th. The order that's been presented was presented to us as a proposed order by the Lodge's attorney, Mr. Joe McGuire, who's sitting here today. The three members of the board that heard that zoning appeal, Mr. Owensby, Mr. Kilby, and then Mr. Erickson, you all will look at this order and vote on it to approve it as to form only. We're not looking at the substance. It's not another opportunity to rehash what happened on that hearing date, but just look at the form, see if the facts in the form are as you remember them, and in spite of the fact that one or all may have voted a different way, just make sure that the decision that's reflected in the order is the decision that you recall the board voting on. And so that's what we're looking at. We're just looking at the form of the order, not the substance. If you have any edits, we've tried to make edits to present a clean document to the board for its approval. So everyone's going to vote on the approval of the minutes when it's called by Mr. Chairman, and then for the approval of the proposed order as to form, it'll just be the three board members, Kilby, Erickson, and Owensby, that I spoke of earlier.
And that does constitute our majority. That
Constitutes a quorum that you all can take action and vote on.
Take action. So everyone received the minutes from last month's meeting. They were quite lengthy, as everyone saw when you were reading through it. And did anyone have any changes or changes that need to be made based on what was mailed to you?
What I saw was good for the point that I was here, and then I went home and watched the rest of it on video conference, and it all seems to be fine.
Okay. Ron, you okay with what it was? Melvin, you okay with the way? There was a couple of grammatical things that I found, and they have not been corrected on this. It's real minor stuff, nothing substantive, just grammatical. And Michelle's already taken care of that, not on this copy that we have, but when we do the final ones, we will, those corrections will be made there. So if there's no changes that anyone saw that needs to be made, do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Owensby. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Erickson. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Okay, the next order will be 3A, and you all have been given a copy of this order that here, and we'll just take 2 or 3, 4 or 5 minutes, however long it takes for y'all to read that, since it's the first time that you have seen it. So just take your time.
So according to what you said, I will not vote on this.
You will
No,
not.
and Mr. Lusk won't vote on
Mr.
it.
Lusk will not be voting on either.
But 3 constitutes a quorum, we can take action on it.
Do you want any comments regarding?
Only from the three members who were here as to
Okay.
form.
Okay. All right.
I understand it's hard for you not to say anything, Mr. Weber.
Well, no, even if you know something's wrong? Okay.
Well, point it out to the gentleman to your right or to your left.
Okay. Fine. That's not true. She was granted standing. She did not join the appeal because she was going to decline great justice.
They were supposed to have corrected that.
The appeal was based on great justice representing those three claims.
I thought they'd corrected that.
I thought so too. And same here.
Yeah.
Am I allowed
Referred to.
to address the board at all?
Yeah, absolutely, as staff, sure.
Just to point out a couple of things, staff has reviewed this, and Mike Egan, who was representing the town with me at the hearing, he's also reviewed it. I talked to him just a few minutes ago about a couple of changes that we were asked to board, mainly it was just some spelling errors on the board members' names. One of the things that I questioned was in the order, it's saying that Charlene Kaiser Kohler was granted, I was questioning because it sounded like she was added as an applicant to the case, but I was corrected that there's a difference between an applicant and appellant. And so Mike was comfortable with it being left that Charlene Kaiser Kohler is referred to as an appellant, and then later mentioned that she had standing and she was allowed to join the appeal as an appellant. He was comfortable with that, so I'm comfortable with it as well.
I will advise the board, I wouldn't be comfortable. An appellant is someone who appeals a decision. Ms. Kohler didn't appeal that decision. And again, we're here as to form, so this board, the three members, can make a determination as to whether she can have standing to appear and come before this board and offer her opinion as to pros or cons against it. But she didn't submit a formal appeal to that determination. So notwithstanding the fact that Mr. Egan, who normally represents this board, said he is okay with her joining the appeal as an appellant, I don't necessarily think she appealed anything.
That was an initial concern of mine, but I,
Not what I heard on tape. So,
Well, Joe McGuire representing the lodge, I'm fine to conclude that sentence that the board voted that Ms. Kohler had standing, period. And then we can delete, and she was allowed to join the appeal as an appellant, and then we need to go back on the first page and delete her name because she wouldn't be an appellant. Is that
Correct, yes, that would be,
Okay, and I can have changes made, any that you all want, such as that, and come back while you consider something else, and have my office make that change and email it to Ms. Spicer's computer if you'd like.
yeah, if that's the only issues that the three members have as to form, and you can do that, that'd be fine, then we can sign it at the appropriate time once it gets approved with those edits.
Were there any others?
Melvin, do you have anything that you see that you don't remember being accurate on that?
if we're gonna make a change, whether it's important to the board or not, in that same, in paragraph number 2, on page 2, at the very last sentence, it says that the subject property was included in an application for conditional zoning that was considered by the town council at a special meeting on December 15th. That is a correct statement. The final vote on that rezoning wasn't until December 22nd, so it's up to the board whether they feel that that should be accurately reflected.
So we should change it to say, considered by the town council special meeting on December 15th and voted on for approval on December the 22nd.
If that is an
2015.
accurate statement.
Yeah, if it's an accurate statement, if it's just extra language that you don't think is important to the decision that the board made, you don't have to necessarily include it in there.
I think that helps to clarify the history, and so I'll just add, and was approved on December 22, 2015?
Yes. Considered on December 15th.
Yes.
Voted and approved on December the 22nd.
Okay, and voted and approved, okay?
This is,
But Charlene was never here to speak at all, was she?
Ms. Kohler?
Yes.
Yes.
She was.
She was granted standing, she's an adjoining, or not an adjoining, but a neighboring property owner that received mailed notice, and she was granted standing.
Got you.
so again, to reiterate what Brian and Mr. Golden said earlier, to Ron and to Melvin and to myself again, we're not considering anything having to do with the case itself. We're just considering that this is accurate as to what happened in the meeting that day, and this is necessary for the case to go forward in the appeal process, right, Brian?
Yeah, if.
By this board.
That's right.
By this board. It's a legal thing that we have to do, to my knowledge. Steve, do you ever remember us having to do one of these?
Oh, yeah.
This way before? I can't
And we've
remember.
had
one,
like
so.
3 or 4 of these cases in the past.
So that's what the vote is, that we're agreeing that as this order is written, it's the way it was stated in our meeting last month.
Are you asking for a motion?
Well, do we need to do that, or are you gonna?
I think what you can do is you can ask for a motion to approve the order as to form with the edits that were discussed amongst the board members.
Then that'll be all we need to do.
And then we can then if that motion's seconded and approved by the 3 of you, Mr. McGuire can go and make those edits, give us back the document, we can sign it.
That's
You
done.
can sign it, Mr. Chairman, and it'll be done.
So that would be the motion, that we agree to this as stated with the edits that Mr. McGuire's gonna have made, that it is accurate, and we approve the order.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept it then, under those changes that, or the way the attorney had actually worded it.
Okay? Have a second?
I'll second.
All right, have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. No opposed. Thank you very much. Sorry for all that, but one of those necessary things. So we'll be ready now, folks, to get into the items that's on our agenda. Did we ever have a vote to approve the minutes? We did, didn't we?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. The first case is vacation, VROP-201-6001, a vacation rental operating permit request from Robert F. Freeman to operate a residential vacation rental at 133 Dogwood Drive, Lake Lure, North Carolina, tax pin 161656. To all those that plan to testify in this case,
Since we're doing a digital recording, when you read it, you forgot the last 6 in the property identification number.
correct that to tax pin 1616566. You raise your right hand, you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God, in this case.
I do.
Thank you very much. Let the record show that Ms. Sheila Spicer, zoning administrator, and Bill McKay, representing the applicant, stood to testify. Would you like to begin, Ms. Spicer?
The first thing I'd like to do is, Mr. McKay brought in a letter from Mr. Freeman authorizing him to act as the agent in this case, if you'd like to accept that. we
Let me
can
do
accept.
something else first. I failed to ask if there's any prior discussion from anyone in regards to the case.
No.
None.
I did not get an opportunity to visit the property, so my decision will have to be based upon testimony only,
Okay.
so.
And anyone stand financial gain or anything by having a decision on this?
No.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry, Mr. Pfeiffer, you can go ahead.
Did you want to ask him if he?
Oh, do you want to challenge anyone that's a member on this board to hear this? Thank you.
Thank you. So I've given you the letter from Mr. Freeman authorizing Mr. McKay to act as his agent. If you accept that, we could mark that, do you want that applicant's exhibit A, or is that fine?
That's fine with me. Anybody see any? Did you see one?
Yeah, I've given you one copy. Here's another one, if you guys want to share that.
I'm not good.
Do you want to read it first, or?
No, it's a bill.
Is that all right?
Thank you.
So this will be entered as applicant exhibit A. Authorizing Mr. McKay to represent Mr. Freeman.
Okay, so Mr. Freeman is requesting a 6-bedroom residential vacation rental, and the property is located in the R3 zoning district. In your packet, you'll find a copy of the application. There is a parking plan. You'll find a copy of a sewer certification. This property is not directly connected to the town sewer. It is actually connected to CWS. It had a Carolina Water Systems or Utilities Incorporated for both water and sewer, and I verified that on February 2nd, 2016. But the sewer connection was inspected. There's a copy of the standard rental agreement. There's also verification from Jeanette Bosro with Rutherford County Finance that Carol McKay with Lake Country Vacation Rentals added this to their list of rentals with the Tourism Development Authority. This was sent to the Development Review Committee on February 3rd, 2016. The only comments that were received back was from Linda Ward, our customer service supervisor, and she is just verifying that it is not on town sewer as the application was originally marked. And that's all that I have. If you have any questions.
Anyone have any questions for Ms. Spicer?
Yes, the GIS information lists it as 5 bedrooms. And he's requesting 6.
Yes.
Has that been confirmed, that it is indeed listed as 5?
The tax records do list it as a 5-bedroom,
Right.
but again, it's not served, there's no way for the town to verify whether there are, we don't do an interior inspection.
Right.
But it's not on septic, it is on sewer.
But we generally don't approve more than what the GIS reflects. If it reflects 5, then we generally only approve them as a 5. I mean,
It's not going to affect the occupancy, right?
no, not in this
It won't
case.
affect the occupancy,
No.
they're maxed out at 12 anyway.
Right, right.
So the maximum occupancy allows 12. So even with 5 bedrooms plus
Yeah,
4,
yeah, max is.
max is 12. So that won't have an effect on it. Does the application say 6?
It
It
does.
does.
It does.
So
Can we amend that?
Well, would it be, Mr. McKay, do you mind if we amend that to 5, according to GIS?
Well, I think the reasoning for the 6, as far as I know, is what was an office will now be a bedroom.
Has that been approved by Rutherford County Building Inspections?
Not to my knowledge, it's just a matter of moving a computer and a couch out.
then, yeah,
The
we,
bed was always
yeah,
in.
yeah, we generally don't approve something like that as a rental bedroom. We would go by GIS, which says the structure has 5 bedrooms.
Yeah.
Again, it won't affect your occupancy.
Yeah,
So,
they're all 12.
yeah, so, yeah, so,
By all means, just
Yeah.
go by the GIS.
So we'll change the application
yeah.
to reflect 5 bedrooms.
I make a motion to amend the application to 5 bedrooms based on GIS record.
Motion by Mr. Weber, second? Second. Second by Mr. Erickson. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no. Unanimous. Anybody else have any other questions?
No.
Ms. Spicer?
No, sir.
I have one other question.
Okay.
Are the underground garbage cans up at the road for this property?
I'm not sure where to put this garbage can.
If they are for the property, they're not animal resistant, and some of them are broken. None of them have locks. They could just be lifted right open.
Well, what we have generally done for all of our vacation homes is actually I come by and I build a pen and make it animal proof.
Okay.
Insofar as we can, you know how the bears are around here.
Right,
Pretty smart bears, don't we?
they are. Yep.
So if that's not the ones that go with the house, you're saying for each one you all have, you do a separate trash?
Yeah, I build a pen with the wire cage, lockable, and then we put trash cans in it and hope for the best. And sometimes the bears will come in and just tear everything apart.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Is that satisfying? you?
Yes.
Any other questions for Mr. McKay?
Oh, no, I have none.
Okay. Hearing none, we'll have discussion, further discussion among ourselves.
No. I don't see anything we need to make any conditions over.
I actually inspected from both sides, from the lake side and from the upper side too, so it looks to me like everything, you know, it's unusual, once you get down to it, it's almost flat. So. Hearing none, anyone like to make a motion on this one?
I will.
Okay, Mr. Ormsby?
With regard to application number VROP -2016001 for a vacation rental operating permit to operate a residential vacation rental in the R3 zoning district. I move the board to find that the application is complete and that the proposed use, if operated according to the application and any conditions attached hereto, meets the following standards. 1, it will not materially endanger the public health or safety. 2, it will not substantially injure the value of adjoining or abutting property. 3, it will meet all standards and requirements specified in the regulations of the town. 4, it will be in harmony with the neighborhood character and in general conformity with applicable elements of the comprehensive plan. And 5, satisfactory provision and arrangements have been made for those matters specified in subsection 92.046D of the zoning regulations of the town of Lake Lure. Accordingly, I further move the board to grant the request vacation rental operating permit in accordance with and only to the extent represented in the application and plans,
As amended.
as amended.
Yeah, as amended to the 5 bedroom.
Got it.
Okay, you've heard the motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Erickson. Mr. Ormsby, how do you
I
vote?
vote yes.
You vote yes. Mr. Weber?
I vote yes. It meets all the requirements. It's a good property, lots of parking. Excellent.
Okay.
I vote yes.
Mr. Erickson vote?
Yes, I vote yes.
He votes yes. Mr. Lusk?
I vote yes.
Mr. Luck votes yes, and I vote yes as well. Everything seems to meet all the, as it's been stated, it meets all the requirements for the vacation rental permit. And so, Mr. McKay, that one is granted, and we'll close that case. Go to the next. Okay, the next case that we'll consider is VROP-20160002, a vacation rental operating permit requested from Kenneth and Jean Frick to operate a residential vacation rental at 321 Holmes Road, Lake Lure, North Carolina. Tax pin 230700. All those that plan to testify in this, please come up to the table. Do you solemnly swear to tell, I'm sorry, the record show that Sheila Spicer, zone administrator, and Sharon Ryan, representing the Fricks, going to testify? Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you on this case?
I do.
Thank you. First of all, is there any discussions among anyone that needs to be disclosed on this?
Yes, I did meet with Mr. Frick, and he showed me the front entrance, and I recommended a handrail on the steps. And as the entrance shows, maybe railing, I'm not sure on the height of the deck from the concrete. And that's all I have.
Okay.
I also met Mr. Frick on the site, and we did not have any conversation about the
Okay, so, Mr. Weber?
No,
You have-
no
have it.
communications.
Okay. And I had no communication on this as well. So, any financial disclosures that need to be made in regards to the property?
No.
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 None, Mr. Lusk?
None.
Okay. Okay, so have go for this.
We were talking, and I'm sorry, but we did not hear what he was saying.
She didn't hear what Mr. Lusk
He
said.
said-
Asking me a question.
He said no, that they're,
No,
I did meet with him and just discussed that he might need handrails on the steps.
I had actually already suggested that to him,
Okay.
so hopefully.
sometimes,
You-
yeah.
Didn't tell you that he was going to do that.
He told me that he was going to look into that because of the distance of the
Well,
deck
his
to the
insurance
concrete.
company's going to make him do it, right? When he looks at it.
Any challenge?
You have any challenge to anyone on the board to hear this? Okay. We'll go to the staff presentation.
Thank you. So Mr. and Ms. Frick are requesting a 6-bedroom residential vacation rental. Your application or your packet includes a copy of the application. There's a letter in there authorizing Ms. Ryan to act as their agent. There's a copy of a sewer certification from Charlie Sims, who is a licensed plumber, certifying that the connection to the town sewer is operational and free of detectable leaks. A copy of the standard rental agreement and verification from Jeanette Bosborough with Rutherford County Finance that Ms. Ryan has added this to her list of rentals with the Tourism Development Authority. The application was sent to the Development Review Committee on February 3rd, 2016. The only comment received was from, again, Linda Ward with the Customer Service Supervisor. And in this case, she was verifying that Mr. and Ms. Frick are connected to or on town sewer billing and that their account is up to date. The only other thing in your packet, besides your normal copies of the letters sent out and GIS printout directions, is there was a copy of the email from me to Ms. Ryan and her response back about the maximum occupancy. The application originally had a higher maximum occupancy that is allowed, and after notifying her of the town requirement, she amended the application. There's also some discussion in there about they are going to offer boat use of 2 kayaks with the rental, and there was some conversation between her and I about the commercial license, and I think she's gonna testify further to the status of that.
Okay. Anyone have any other questions for Ms. Spicer?
No.
I saw the same thing, the GIS has 5 bedrooms, like on the last application.
It
So,
does.
Yes.
yeah,
And
so,
as in the last case, it
Yeah.
would not change the maximum
Right,
occupancy,
right.
but
Right.
The
Do you
property
have any-
record does show only 5 bedrooms.
Yeah, do you have any opposition to us amending that application to
Not at
5?
all.
Okay. I'll make a motion to amend the application to 5 bedrooms based on GIS.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Weber, seconded by Mr. Ormsby to again amend the application to 5 bedrooms. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous? Anything else?
I apologize, there's also a copy of the parking plan included in your packets. That would have been as an insert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a address number on the building? I couldn't find it.
Yes.
There is, okay.
And also right at the top of the driveway.
Right, I saw that one, right.
Uh, I realize you said you're going to be talking about the kayaks, and I see here an email that says, "and delete the kayaks." So
Well, we
is it,
were discussing it back and forth, we didn't know when they were gonna buy them, if they could find them in time. They have now purchased them, and they do have permits.
okay, so you want to leave that on the application?
Well, whatever, she would guess.
So, it's my understanding, and I actually had a conversation with Ms. Jolly, the recording secretary, a few days ago, that Mr. Frick did come in and get his commercial license and got his boat permits. So she's here if you want to swear her in and get that testimony, but
No? That's fine with me.
Mr. Erickson, any questions for you?
No.
Mr. Lusk?
None.
No questions. Okay, if we have no questions, we'll move to discussion.
I don't see needing to make a condition out of it, but I did notice coming out of the drive, the bushes are so obtrusive and all right there at the edge of that drive. You can't see in either direction until you actually get into the road. So I'd certainly recommend trimming those back.
My biggest concern too was, the railings as you went down the steps and then around the little oblong little front porch or sitting porch, whatever.
Might be what David was talking about, was it?
I was talking at the front entrance.
Yes, that's where I was talking, where you go down the steps and then
Correct.
there's a
Yes.
little odd block shaped little deck.
Right.
No railings on none of that or the steps either.
I had mentioned that to the owner. Mr. Lusk, did he respond when you asked him about it?
Yes, he said that he was going to try and have them put on.
Okay. Because I haven't talked to him since you did.
I think that might ought to be a condition that we put on it that some type of railing meeting the code of the county and the town.
Did you measure the height?
No, I did not.
It'd have to be more than 4 feet before.
No, it wasn't more than 4 feet.
Isn't
It's
it
probably around 30
code,
inches.
in code 4 feet before that should be a railing?
Code is 30 inches.
30 inches.
Code
or
is
3
30
steps.
inches.
Yes.
I can't remember. 3 steps or 30 inches, I can't remember.
If there's a differential of 2.5 feet, you have to have a guardrail. It might be in the back also along that patio. You'll need to check.
I know we've debated this many times before, and none of us are building inspectors officially for the county.
No.
And I think our job is, if we determine or see something that is potentially unsafe, then we have an obligation to address it and possibly craft a condition to make it safe in accordance with the regulations, to meet the requirement. So,
Well, this is ordinarily something that is reviewed by the county building inspector,
That time the structure's built.
or if they're applying for a certificate of occupancy after remodeling.
Well, I think my opinion probably is that I think we have to be careful trying to,
if I might.
You may. Keep me from saying-
Go to the public safety finding of fact. Our requirement, of course, the proposed use will not materially endanger the public safety if operated according to the application as submitted, and satisfactory provision and arrangement has been made for at least the following: automotive ingress and egress, traffic flow, traffic control, pedestrian and bicycle ways, and we're obviously talking a walkway there and port, lake use and fire suppression. If you feel like it's unsafe, then we should craft a condition to require it to meet the objective of the regulation. If we don't, then we don't need to debate it. My opinion.
Well, I think somewhere there's a fine line between that, talking about public safety and talking about the issue where someone's entered into a business proposition with someone to pay rent to be there and be in that property. That's my personal opinion, and, you know, everyone that has a home that's on vacation rental, or if you have someone that comes to visit your own home, you know, hopefully your homeowner's insurance that you have in place, you know, if someone did fall from there and there was, it was investigated and turned in as a claim, if it was proven that the owner of the property was negligent in not having a railing there, then the person's property insurance would be responsible for damages or whatever to happen to that person. That's to answer your question that you asked a minute ago. The insurance company's not going to send an inspector out.
I've had that done before at other houses.
Have you? Well, it must have been a claim or something that had.
No, it was just, they were changing insurance companies, and they noticed that one set upstairs didn't have a railing, and they asked us to build another one, and of course we did. But if I have anything to do with it, he's going to build a railing. That's the first thing I said when I walked down to that house, when I first saw it. And
Well-
he's going to do what he needs to do.
Yeah.
He's a good person.
Hopefully, everyone that has a home that's on vacation rental will be that attentive to things. I know when I had my own, I certainly was, and I would hope he would be too. Now, if you feel like it needs to be a condition, then, you know, we can certainly do that.
Ron, aren't you what is your
Yes,
profession?
I'm a registered architect.
Okay, and what about you, Dave?
Retired contractor.
Okay. Having done a lot of this type of work,
Yes.
do you feel like the need for that railing is
I
it
feel a need
justified?
for the railing on the steps, however, at the front door entry on the landing, depending on the height of the deck to the concrete stonework, I don't have a clarification of the height. I didn't take time to measure.
I would defer to one of you guys, for me, on voting, whether or not y'all think a condition's needed.
I do. As you stated, it says pedestrian ways. And we have walkways, porches, steps, and those are pedestrian ways.
All right?
I don't think it's our determination as to tell the people what the code requirements are. That's the county's requirements. But me being an architect, being familiar with this, I know that it doesn't comply with codes. And I would advise that your client do
So
put them
I have advised him.
normally in the past, Mr. Chairman, we've had to craft and word a specific condition to go along with the vote. And I don't, Mr. Golden, would you be willing to craft that while we're sitting here?
Let's make a comment
It's up to you,
first.
yeah.
Okay, so on this case, we put a condition on this house that before they can have a vacation rental operating permit, they have to have a rail on those steps. 3 months from now, we do one, and we don't recommend that somebody put rails on a house and make it a condition of that. Someone gets hurt on that one that we didn't make a recommendation that those rails be put up for vacation rental.
I don't have an answer for you. I mean, that's up to all these great legal minds.
So, I think, again, it's that slippery slope that
I
you
hear
all
you.
heard me speak about before.
I hear you.
I just don't feel like we're qualified, we're not building inspectors. It's not, I don't think it's our purpose to go out and do, do that part of that job.
I agree with you.
I just don't, I think we represent the town in this board, and I certainly wouldn't want to put the town on the hook for that if we do one. And it's kind of like in my business, if we make one phone call to someone because of something that they didn't make a payment or something, we got to call everybody that ever misses a payment, because if we don't, we could be liable if someone got hurt out of one of those we didn't call. And I feel that could be the same situation on this. We could certainly, make them aware that there needs to be, railing there. But what's your opinion, Mr. Gould?
It depends on what the board wants. I don't have an opinion, but if the board was gonna craft a condition, it would just be a general condition that says if a guardrail or handrail or any other kind of rail is necessary, it shall be in compliance with state building codes. Thus, you're not saying you have to put one up, you're just putting a condition that there has to be an effort made to check to see if one needs to be put up, and if it does. But I don't have an opinion. I'm just here to advise legally.
Ms. Spicer? You have an opinion on this from the rules and regulations for the vacation rental permit and what it says?
I don't think, I think the board has done a great job of hashing this out. You're right. The board has to make a ruling on a specific finding of public health and safety, and each one of you has to decide in your own mind what that entails. The only thing I would request is that if you are going to place a condition, that it be very carefully crafted, because I'm the one that's gonna have to determine whether that condition has been met, and I'm also not a building inspector. So if you're going to craft a condition that it has to meet state building code, then I would also ask that that condition say that they have to have it inspected by a building inspector, instead of putting that requirement on me to ensure whether it meets some kind of code.
See, I think
Would that not, I'm sorry, go ahead.
she's the zoning administrator, and she doesn't have the authority to go out and do that.
No, of course not.
Now, if you craft a condition that says you have to put a railing in a specific location, well, that's easy. I can go out and verify whether there's a railing in a specific location, but that's still not going to ensure that that railing meets any kind of building code.
Would it be necessary to say that it has to be verified by the building inspector? Because if we did craft a condition that says a railing must be put in place at this location, or a railing must be put in place or verified as not being needed by, in accordance with state building code, doesn't that automatically imply that it's the building inspector that has to determine that? Because you don't enforce state building code. So, I mean, is that?
Yeah, that's.
All right. Okay. Bottom line for the conditions, I mean, any conditional use permit, which this is you determine it doesn't meet the requirements, you craft a condition to bring it up to the requirements, to meet those requirements. So,
What if there's some steps inside the house that don't have a railing on it? What's the?
we don't inspect inside. We don't have the authority to inspect.
That again
inside.
is the county inspector. He does that.
We don't have the authority.
Egress from the bedrooms, that's the county inspector.
If I was going to recommend a condition on anything, it would have been on the automotive ingress and egress because of the shrubbery blocking the view entering the road. I mean, my vehicle, the whole front end was in the road before I could get to a point to see past the bushes. That's unsafe.
Well, mine
So if I was ever
somewhat-
gonna recommend a condition for safety, it would have been that, but
As to whether or not you have the authority to do an inspection, the zoning regulations state in section 92.042, A4, in conjunction with an application for a vacation rental operating permit, the town shall conduct an initial inspection to confirm compliance with the requirements of this section. Just throwing it out there.
Right, and that doesn't include the inside, does it? Anyhow, Mr. Chairman, what do we do?
So what's your pleasure? Want to make it a condition? Somebody speak up.
No, I can't see where we can make it a condition.
I can't hear you.
I
He
said,
don't-
no, I can't see where we can make it a condition.
I think the shrubs, that's obvious. There's not a code involved
Well,
with
I'm
that.
not
It's
recommending a condition on that.
Ms. Ryan, I would just suggest in the future, as you work with your clients on this, you see the kind of things become issues here for us. And if they're addressed before it's all brought here to us, it could sure speed up the process.
Well, I did suggest the rating, and he did say that he would do that
Yeah.
eventually, is kind of the way he put it.
I mean,
That's the first thing I said to him when I saw the property. I felt like, I thought it was code, and I didn't understand why the building inspector passed it without a rating. I question that.
There was a building permit issued for that property in 1996. Now, we don't know what that was for. It just says that, it gives a building permit number, B96-00669.
And that was 20 years ago.
So whether there was a requirement in 96 for a railing or not, there was a building permit.
But
See,
I-
that's Ron and talking about, it's up to the building inspector. Well, there's not been a building inspector there in 20 years.
Probably
well, I've seen a recent job that was built and a certain post was required for a balcony. And as soon as it was passed off and signed off by the building inspector, the post was removed and the balcony is cantilevered. So, I mean, we have no control over that,
No, we got,
Right.
so.
So we're not going, no condition, make it a condition?
no.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion?
No.
None.
Okay?
No.
Then the hearing part is complete, and we will go to our discussion. We'll start with you this time, Mr. Lusk.
No further discussion.
Okay, no further discussion by anybody?
No.
Okay, do I have someone to make a motion?
I'll be.
Okay, Mr. Erickson?
With regard to application number VROP-2016002 for a vacation rental operating permit to operate a residential vacation rental in the R1 zoning district, I move the board to find that the application is complete and that the proposed use, if operated according to the application and any conditions attached hereto, meets the following standards. 1, it will not materially endanger the public health or safety. 2, it will not substantially injure the value of adjoining or abutting property. 3, it will meet all standards and requirements specified in the regulations of the town. 4, it will be in harmony with the neighborhood character and in general conformity with applicable elements of the comprehensive plan. And 5, satisfactory provision and arrangement has been made for those matters specified in subsection 92.046D of the zoning regulations of the town of Lake Lure. Accordingly, I further move the board to grant the requested vacation rental operating permit in accordance with and only to the extent represented in the application and plans.
Okay, the motion's been made by Mr. Erickson. Do I have a second?
Oh, and as amended, I'm
As
sorry.
amended.
As amended for the bedroom.
For the bedroom.
Sorry.
I second with the as amended.
Seconded by Mr. Weber. Mr. Bud? At least it wasn't Ms. Lusk. Mr. Lusk, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Vote yes.
Yes.
Mr. Erickson?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Ormsby?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
I vote yes, with those couple of recommendations to you, Ms. Ryan, on that handrail, shrubbery.
And I also vote yes, so the vacation permit is approved.